In today's video, we will explore the life of Richard Feynman, one of the greatest teachers in the world. He was not only a brilliant physicist but also an inspiration for many famous figures such as Elon Musk, Larry Page, and Bill Gates. Elon Musk once said that people should read Feynman's books, while Bill Gates referred to Feynman as the best teacher he never had. So, what made him a legend in the fields of education and science? Let's find out right now. First, we will learn about his childhood. Richard Feynman was born in 1918 in Queens, New York, USA, into a Jewish family. His father worked in sales, while his mother was a homemaker. Although they were not part of the intellectual elite in society, his parents had an excellent way of raising their children. They never forbade him unreasonably and always encouraged him to explore and learn about the world around him. Feynman recalled that as a child, he had a laboratory in his house where he often conducted simple experiments. He would take apart machines to understand how they worked and then put them back together. This helped him develop his reasoning and creativity skills, laying the foundation for his later scientific career. Due to his early exposure to machinery, he became a skilled cassette player repairman at a young age. Many people in the neighborhood, upon hearing of his reputation, would bring their cassette players to him for repairs. One time, an uncle brought his cassette player to Feynman for fixing. However, Feynman simply turned on the machine and walked around the room. When the uncle saw that Feynman wasn't opening the machine to fix it and was just walking around, he asked Feynman, "Why aren't you opening the machine to repair it? Do you really know how to fix it?" The young Feynman replied, "I'm thinking." Just a moment later, Feynman took apart the machine, made a few adjustments, and then the cassette player produced perfect sound. The uncle was very surprised and told everyone that Feynman was a genius. He could fix cassette players with just his thoughts. However, his curiosity sometimes nearly led to disaster. While conducting chemistry experiments, he often came close to burning down the house. One of his mother's friends, upon witnessing this, asked, "Aren't you afraid that boy will blow up the house?" At that time, his mother replied, "Compared to blowing up the house, I'm more afraid of killing his curiosity." His father also had a similar approach to education. Feynman recalled that as a child, every evening, his father often opened the encyclopedia and then told him about the things in it. His father not only told him the name of a thing but also helped him visualize it and understand its characteristics. For instance, when talking about a dinosaur that was 25 feet tall, his father wouldn't just tell him the name of the dinosaur and show him a picture. He would encourage Feynman to imagine it by saying that if it stood in their yard, it would be as tall as the second-floor window, but its head would be too big to fit through that window. This wonderful method of education made him always curious about the world around him and helped him find joy in exploring new things. This passion for exploration accompanied him throughout his life, enabling him to achieve extraordinary accomplishments and live a fascinating life. Additionally, this was also the way that Elon Musk's mother, raised her children to become super successful individuals. Because he felt the joy of learning, Feynman's academic performance was excellent, especially in physics classes, where he often had no rivals. At 17, he was accepted into the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. By the age of 21, he graduated from college, and by 24, he earned his PhD in physics from Princeton University. Due to his outstanding achievements in both physics and mathematics, he was invited by physicist Robert Rathbun Wilson to join the Manhattan Project, the U.S. project to develop the atomic bomb. This was during World War II, when the United States feared that Nazi Germany might create an atomic bomb and dominate the world, prompting them to take the initiative in developing this weapon. The scientists, including Feynman, understood that they were working to counteract Nazi Germany, and they dedicated themselves fully to the project. Here, Feynman was assigned many important tasks, including calculating the energy released by the nuclear bomb upon detonation. This work created an enormous amount of calculations to be done. At that time, because there were no modern computers like today, calculations were mainly performed by humans. Realizing that at this snail's pace, the Nazis might end up possessing atomic bombs before the United States, Feynman developed a special calculation method called parallel computation. He realized that instead of having each person solve each problem from start to finish, he could break down the calculation process and assign it to many people to work on simultaneously. Before applying this method, his team solved only 3 problems in 9 months. But after implementing parallel computation, they were able to solve 9 problems in just 3 months. This method tripled the calculation speed and contributed to accelerating the development of the atomic bomb. The Manhattan Project was a large and challenging endeavor, bringing together thousands of scientists, engineers, and military personnel, including many of the world's leading physicists at the time, such as Oppenheimer, Fermi, von Neumann, and especially the theoretical physicist Niels Bohr. At that time, Bohr was already a towering figure in the field of physics and had won a Nobel Prize, while Feynman was still an unknown teenager without any notable achievements. Colleagues often did not dare to debate directly with Bohr because they feared his reputation. However, Feynman was different. He frequently debated with his senior whenever he noticed a flaw in Bohr's reasoning. Feynman said that whenever he discussed science, he often forgot who he was speaking to and tended to overlook social niceties. He respected Bohr like everyone else, but when he spotted an error, he was always ready to speak up. For him, the truth was the only thing that mattered. The workplace of the Manhattan Project was isolated, with very few recreational activities. With his playful nature, he couldn't sit still, so he took joy in picking locks on his colleagues' lockers. He often seized the opportunity, when colleagues were distracted, to stealthily unlock their lockers and drawers containing important documents about the atomic bomb. He noticed that people often left their lockers unlocked, used the manufacturer's default passwords, or opted for easily memorable passwords. After unlocking them, he would usually leave a sticky note inside, causing his colleagues to panic, thinking that some spy had accessed the atomic bomb documents. Then, whenever a meeting started, he would always be the first to stand up and say, "I have something very important to report. The safes are really not secure." In addition to his work in physics, he is also famous for a beautiful love story that is no less than a Korean drama. That was his first love when he was a high school student. The two had known each other since childhood, but it wasn't until the later years of high school that they officially fell in love. At that time, Feynman was 16 years old, while his girlfriend, Arlene Greenbaum, was only 15. She was described as a very beautiful girl, and his entire family adored her. First love is always a very special feeling, especially when we are still in school, as it is pure and unconditional. He and his girlfriend were no exception. They were deeply in love from their school days until after he graduated with his PhD. However, just when everything seemed perfect, a tragedy struck when his girlfriend discovered she had tuberculosis and only had a few years to live. Feynman was heartbroken upon learning this, but he eventually accepted the reality and decided to treat her as well as he could during her remaining time. Besides his work, he spent most of his remaining time in the hospital caring for her. His family often tried to dissuade him, fearing he might contract tuberculosis. However, for him, love was more important than anything else. Despite both families' objections, he decided to marry her. It was a small wedding with no family members from either side present. There were only two strangers they happened to meet who witnessed the couple's marriage. After 3 years of marriage, she eventually passed away due to her illness. At that time, Feynman was utterly devastated. Just a month later, the US dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, killing tens of thousands of people. When he learned that he had contributed to the deaths of so many others, he felt an immense sense of regret. Experiencing these 2 consecutive shocks, the loss of his beloved and the atomic bombing, left him in a long period of depression. Sometime later, he moved to work at the California Institute of Technology, Caltech. His passion for research and teaching gradually helped him regain his spirits and overcome his grief. Here, he became famous for his simple and easy-to-understand lectures. With a humorous personality and an excellent ability to convey knowledge, his classes were always packed with students. He stated that if students did not understand what the teacher was saying, it might be that the teacher himself did not truly understand what he was saying. Additionally, he was known for a very special learning method called the Feynman technique. This method has been adopted by many famous individuals, such as Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Richard Branson. For their learning, the method is as follows. When you want to learn about a certain piece of knowledge, imagine you are teaching that knowledge to an elementary school student. This technique is highly effective for learning because it helps us understand the roots of the knowledge. The reason is that to teach that knowledge in a way an elementary school student can understand, you cannot use technical jargon. Instead, you must use your own language. We have to simplify the knowledge, making it easier to understand. This process of simplification forces us to think deeply about the essence of the knowledge, thereby helping us master it. A great example of using this method is when a reporter once asked Albert Einstein, "Professor, can you explain the theory of relativity in simple terms?" Einstein smiled and replied, "When you sit next to a beautiful girl for an hour, it feels like just a minute has passed. But if you put your hand on a hot stove for a minute, it feels like hours have gone by. That's relativity." This wonderful answer is a testament to the ability to simplify complex knowledge, which is also the foundation of the Feynman method. Another example is when Feynman was invited to the board to investigate the cause of the Challenger shuttle disaster. This event occurred when the Challenger exploded 73 seconds after takeoff, resulting in the deaths of all 7 crew members. It is considered one of the darkest events in aerospace history. As he delved into the investigation, Feynman realized that the rubber O-rings used to seal the joints between the rocket segments lost their elasticity in the cold weather on the day of the launch, leading to the catastrophe. During the public hearing on the cause of the disaster, broadcast live around the world, while other scientists explained the reasons for the disaster using complex technical language, Feynman simply requested a glass of ice water and dropped a rubber O-ring into it. 5 minutes later, he took the O-ring out and told everyone. The O-ring of the rocket, when exposed to the cold weather on launch day, lost its elasticity, causing fuel leaks that led to the explosion. For the first time, everyone saw that science could be so understandable. This is considered one of the greatest scientific experiments of the 20th century. Besides his scientific research work, he also had a passion for playing drums, painting, and decoding Maya hieroglyphs. He was always curious about the world around him and loved exploring everything. When he received the Nobel Prize in Physics for his contributions to quantum electrodynamics, he said, "Actually, I received the award a long time ago. The reward is the joy in the process of discovery." By the age of 60, he discovered that he had a malignant tumor in his fat cells, a rare type of cancer. Once, when he noticed a friend looking sad, Feynman asked, "Why do you look so sad?" The friend replied, "I think you will die soon." At that moment, he responded, "Sometimes this worries me too. But when you get as old as I am and have told so many stories to so many people, even when you die, you don't completely disappear." After a long battle with illness, he officially passed away at the age of 70. One of his last words was, "I'd hate to die twice because it's so boring." His life is a wonderful story of love and a passion for exploration. There is a very interesting book about Feynman, one of the few books that billionaire Elon Musk recommends everyone read. Everyone can read it. Additionally, next week, I will make a detailed video about Feynman's learning methods. Don't forget to tune in. This video ends here. See you in the next one. And I wish you all a great day.